In the year 1615, high in the mountains of feudal Japan, there stood a quiet dojo far from the noise of cities and war. The air was thin. The mornings were cold. Inside the wooden hall, warriors trained not just their bodies, but their minds. One evening, as shadows stretched across the floor, an old master looked at his young student and asked a question that would shape the rest of his life. "Takeshi," the master said, his voice steady, "if 10 enemies stand before you, each with a sword, how many can you defeat?" The young samurai did not hesitate. His training was strong. His confidence was firm. "All 10, master," he replied. The old man slowly shook his head. "Wrong." A quiet pause filled the dojo. Then the master spoke again. "You will defeat none, because the moment your mind reaches for the 10th enemy, you have already lost to the first." The student froze. The answer made no sense. He had trained for speed, for strength, for perfect form. Yet the master was saying that skill alone meant nothing. "This is the paradox every samurai must face," the master continued. "True victory does not come from movement, but from stillness. Not from technique, but from awareness. Not from the sword you hold, but from the calm you carry within." Those who understood this truth became legends. Their names were remembered long after battles ended. Those who failed to understand it fell quickly, their bodies left on the battlefield, their skill wasted by a scattered mind. What few people ever explain is this: the lesson was never really about fighting. It was about living. Right now, you are facing 10 enemies of your own. Work demands your focus. Relationships pull at your emotions. Your health needs care. Your future feels uncertain. Your purpose feels distant. You try to fight them all at once, and slowly, you lose ground everywhere. Not because you are weak, but because your mind is never where your body is. Just like the samurai of the past, you stand in front of one moment, but your thoughts rush ahead to 10 others. You worry about outcomes. You fear mistakes. You replay the past. You imagine the future. And while your mind travels, life passes you by. The ancient warriors knew something most people today have forgotten. You cannot win 10 battles at once. You can only face the one in front of you. So the real question is not how many enemies you can defeat. The real question is this: are you ready to learn what the samurai once knew? The year was still 1615. Far from busy towns and political power, the mountain dojo remained quiet and severe. Life there followed the same rhythm every day. Wake before sunrise. Train until the body ached. Sit in silence. Repeat. This place shaped warriors, but it also exposed them. Takeshi was 17 years old. He had lived inside these wooden walls for 5 full years. 5 years of early mornings, strict discipline, and endless repetition. He practiced his sword forms until his movements were sharp and clean. His stance was balanced. His strikes landed exactly where they should. On the surface, he looked like the kind of student masters praised. But beneath that polish, something was wrong. During sparring practice with wooden swords, his mind never stayed still. The moment his opponent stepped forward, thoughts rushed in. What if I'm too slow? What if I get hit? What if I embarrass myself in front of the master? His breathing tightened. His shoulders stiffened. And the perfect form he practiced for years began to fall apart. The other students noticed. They whispered when he walked past. "His technique is flawless," one said. "But his spirit is weak," another replied. "He thinks too much. He freezes." Some shook their heads. "He'll never pass the test." The test. Every student feared it. The final examination was what separated a trainee from a true samurai. It was not a performance. It was real. A wooden sword against a master's steel blade. Not meant to kill, but close enough to feel death breathing beside you. Most students faced the test at 18. Takeshi was already 17 and a half, and his master had said nothing. No warning, no encouragement, no timeline, just silence. That silence pressed harder than any insult. Each passing day made the weight heavier. Takeshi trained longer, practiced harder, corrected every small mistake. But the more he tried to force progress, the tighter his fear became. He wasn't failing because his body was weak. He was failing because his mind would not stop running. And soon, he could no longer carry the question alone. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Takeshi made a choice. He would face his master and ask what no student dared to ask. That evening, after the other students had left the training hall, Takeshi found his master. Yamaguchi-sensei sat alone before the shrine, kneeling in silence, his back straight, his eyes closed. The room felt heavier than usual. The air itself seemed to wait. Takeshi knelt behind him and said nothing. Minutes passed. 5, 10. His legs began to ache, but he stayed still. Finally, the old master opened his eyes, as if he had known Takeshi was there the entire time. "Master," Takeshi said, his voice tight, "when will I be ready for the test?" Yamaguchi-sensei studied him without speaking. Those eyes had seen countless battles and broken men. Nothing escaped them. "You are ready in skill," the master said at last. "But skill alone is worthless." Takeshi frowned. "I don't understand." "Stand," the master said. "Take your sword." Takeshi obeyed. He rose, gripping his wooden blade. The master remained kneeling, unarmed, completely open. "Strike me," Yamaguchi-sensei said. The order landed like a blow. Takeshi lifted his sword and froze. His hands shook. His heart pounded. This was the perfect opening. Any other opponent would already be defeated. But his body refused to move. "I can't," he whispered. "Why?" the master asked calmly. "Because you are my teacher," Takeshi said. "It would be disrespectful." The master's expression hardened. "No," he said. "That is a lie you tell yourself. You are afraid." The words cut deeper than steel. "You fear what happens after the strike," Yamaguchi-sensei continued. "You fear my response. You fear failure. Your mind is split into 10 directions, none of them here. Not now. Not in this moment." Each sentence struck Takeshi like a physical blow. "Until you learn to be fully present," the master said, "you will never be a samurai. You will be nothing more than a corpse with polished technique." Silence followed. "Go," the master said. "Meditate on this." That night, Takeshi could not sleep. He sat alone in his small room, staring at moonlight spilling across the floor. 5 years of effort, 5 years of pain and discipline. And the flaw was not his body. It was his mind. During every fight, he had been chasing outcomes instead of facing reality. As dawn approached, Takeshi felt something settle inside him. He made a decision. He would change, no matter the cost. At sunrise, Takeshi arrived at the dojo early, expecting training. Instead, Yamaguchi-sensei handed him a broom. "Clean," the master said and walked away. No sword practice. No sparring. No correction. Just sweeping wooden floors already spotless, wiping pillars without dust, carrying water from the stream only to pour it back out again. At first, irritation burned in Takeshi's chest. This is a punishment, he thought. A waste of time. Every stroke of the broom felt beneath him. While the other students trained in the courtyard, their swords cracking against each other, he scrubbed floors like a servant. Judgment filled his mind. I should be improving my technique. I'm falling behind. This has nothing to do with becoming a samurai. But as the hours passed, something strange happened. Takeshi began to notice his master. Yamaguchi-sensei swept beside him in silence. Every movement was simple. No rush. No hesitation. Each step placed exactly where it needed to be. The broom moved as if it were part of his body, not something he controlled but something that simply acted. There was no tension in him. No visible effort. No trace of impatience. Just complete presence. By midday, Takeshi's arms were sore and his thoughts exhausted. The noise in his head began to thin. The floor in front of him became the only thing that existed. The sound of bristles against wood. The rhythm of breath. step, sweep, step, sweep. When the work was finished, the master led him into the inner room. From a wooden shelf, Yamaguchi-sensei removed an old scroll and placed it between them. One word was written in careful ink. Shoshin, beginner's mind, the master said. When you were new, he continued, your mind was empty. You acted without calculating victory or defeat. Now your skill has grown, but your mind is crowded. Takeshi listened in silence. You think of outcomes, the master said. You think of judgment. You think of the future. Presence disappears. He tapped the scroll once. Shoshin means meeting each moment as if it were the first. No expectation. No fear. No outcome. Takeshi finally understood. His problem had never been lack of effort. It was that he was no longer here. The master stood. Tomorrow, he said, you will train differently. The next morning, Yamaguchi-sensei gave Takeshi a single rule. Whatever you do, he said, do it completely. There were no special drills, no secret techniques, no new forms, just attention. When Takeshi ate, he was to eat. No planning, no replaying mistakes. When he walked, he was to walk, feeling each step meet the ground. When he trained, he was to train, without imagining the next strike or the final result. Even breathing, the master said, must be done with presence. At first, Takeshi didn't understand how demanding this truly was. During meals, his mind wandered within seconds. During walking, his thoughts raced ahead. During sword practice, he caught himself thinking about how he looked, how he would be judged, how close he was to perfection. Each time, the master corrected him with the same calm reminder. Return. That night, Takeshi was told to sit. No sword, no movement, just stillness. The first meditation began with silence and ended in frustration. His legs ached. His back tightened. Thoughts poured in without pause. Memories, worries, images of failure, plans for improvement. His mind felt louder than ever. He wanted to quit within minutes. But Yamaguchi-sensei did not intervene. So Takeshi did the only thing he could. He returned to his breath, again and again. Every time his attention drifted, he noticed it and came back. No anger, no judgment, just returning. Minutes stretched like hours. When it was over, Takeshi felt no peace, no clarity, only exhaustion. I failed, he said quietly. The master shook his head. You noticed, he replied. That is success. The days that followed were the same. Meditation every morning, full attention in every task, constant failure to remain present, and constant return. Takeshi began to see the pattern. Presence wasn't something you achieved. It was something you practiced losing and reclaiming. Some days felt impossible. His mind refused to settle. His body resisted stillness. Every instinct pushed him back toward ambition, toward measuring progress. The master offered no comfort. Some train for 1 month, he said. Some for 1 year. Most never train at all. How long until presence stays? Takeshi asked. Yamaguchi-sensei met his gaze. It doesn't, he said. You stay. That night, Takeshi committed, not to winning, not to mastery, but to showing up again and again for the next 30 days. And that was when the real test began. The first week felt like fighting an invisible enemy. Takeshi sat to meditate, and his mind rebelled. Thoughts attacked from every direction. Plans, fears, old conversations, imagined futures. The harder he tried to stay present, the more his attention slipped away. Even simple tasks became exhausting. While walking, he forgot to walk. While eating, he rushed. While training, his body moved, but his mind ran elsewhere. Each return to awareness felt forced, like dragging himself back again and again. Frustration grew. I'm getting worse, he thought. Not better. The master said nothing. By the second week, something shifted. Not dramatically. Not all at once. One evening, while sweeping the dojo floor, Takeshi noticed the sound of the broom. Not as a thought, but as a sensation. The wood beneath his feet felt solid. His breath moved naturally without effort. For a brief moment, his mind was quiet. No commentary, no planning, no judgment, just action. The moment passed quickly, but it left something behind. Hope. From then on, Takeshi stopped chasing silence. He focused only on returning. Each time his attention wandered, he brought it back without resistance. No disappointment, no praise. Slowly, the gaps between thoughts widened. By the third week, his senses sharpened. Colors appeared clearer. Sounds felt closer. Time no longer rushed forward as it once had. Training felt less like struggle and more like participation. Presence was no longer an idea. It was real. Some days were still difficult. His mind still wandered. Some meditations felt chaotic. But he no longer doubted the path. He could feel the difference between acting while distracted and acting while present. One was heavy, the other was light. At the end of 30 days, Yamaguchi-sensei finally spoke. "Tomorrow," he said, "you will spar." Takeshi felt his chest tighten. Old fears stirred. Old habits waited to return. But beneath them, something new remained steady. He bowed. This time, he did not imagine winning. He prepared to arrive. And presence was about to be tested, not in silence, but in motion. The next morning, Takeshi faced Kenji. Kenji was already a master in the final exam. Skilled, fast, confident. The old Takeshi would have panicked, imagining the outcome, worrying about mistakes, craving approval. This time was different. He stepped forward, calm, grounded, feet firm, breath steady, mind empty but alert. Presence, not technique, led him. Kenji attacked first, a sharp overhead strike. Instinctively, Takeshi sidestepped, deflected, countered. No hesitation, no calculation. Movement flowed as if it happened through him, not by him. Kenji adjusted, struck again, low sweep, spinning strike, fast combinations. Takeshi responded naturally, body in perfect rhythm with each attack. He was aware of every movement, yet not thinking. Each motion was complete in itself, entire and exact. The other students watched in disbelief. The rhythm, the speed, the fluidity, they had never seen Takeshi like this. The old nervousness, the thought-driven reactions, the fear, all gone. Kenji paused mid-attack, confusion flashing across his face. He realized he wasn't fighting a student trying to win. He was facing presence itself. Every attack met not a plan, not a technique, but complete awareness. The bout continued. Each strike, parry, and dodge felt effortless. Takeshi didn't push, didn't plan. He simply existed in each moment, fully present. The fight ended. Kenji bowed deeply. "You've changed," he said, voice tense with respect. Takeshi nodded, silent. Inside, he understood something profound. Presence wasn't a tool to win fights. It was the source of power. When fully present, reactions arise naturally. Fear, thought, pride. They no longer controlled the outcome. From the corner of the dojo, Yamaguchi-sensei observed without a word. Every movement confirmed his lesson. Presence had matured. Takeshi had learned the hardest principle of all. Awareness is faster than thought, stronger than technique. Later, the master approached. "Tomorrow," Yamaguchi-sensei said, voice low and measured, "you face your final examination." Takeshi felt a flicker of old anxiety. Then he remembered the training, the 30 days of resistance, the moments of quiet awareness. Here now only this. He bowed. "I am ready," he said. Presence had been tested in motion. The ultimate test awaited. Before Takeshi's final test, it's important to understand what was happening in his mind. Modern science confirms what the samurai knew centuries ago. Presence isn't just a feeling, it's a physical change in the brain. When Takeshi focused on the moment, he deactivated the default mode network, the part of the brain that wanders into past regrets, future worries, and endless self-talk. At the same time, his prefrontal cortex, the region that controls attention, emotional regulation, and decision-making, became stronger. Each return to the present, each acknowledgement of distraction, was like lifting a mental weight, training the brain to stay calm and aware under pressure. Studies of meditation practitioners show similar effects. Gray matter grows in areas that control focus, while activity in fear centers decreases. Anxiety becomes manageable. Thoughts still arise, but they no longer dominate action. The samurai had no MRI machines, but they called it mushin, no mind. This doesn't mean the absence of thought. It means thought doesn't control you. Awareness does. Flow, too, mirrors this ancient practice. Being completely present allows your mind and body to respond as one. Decisions are faster. Reactions are smoother. Fear no longer dictates behavior. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, stops hijacking your instincts. Taekwondo Soho, the Zen advisor to many samurai, described it, the mind must always be flowing. When it stops, harm comes. Modern psychology calls this flow state. The samurai called it mushin. Same principle, presence is control, mastery over chaos. Even the Hagakure, the samurai handbook, emphasizes daily meditation on inevitable death. Accepting life's ultimate fear frees the warrior from hesitation. Fear doesn't vanish, but it no longer rules. Action comes from awareness. This is Fudoshin, the immovable mind. Grounded, alert, unshakable. Takeshi hadn't read about it in books. He lived it. 30 days of practice had trained his brain, shaped his body, and aligned his mind. Now the stage was set. Modern science explains the mechanism. Samurai wisdom proves the principle. And Takeshi was ready to face the ultimate test. Presence would meet action. Awareness would meet danger. The final examination was about to begin. Dawn broke over the dojo courtyard. Takeshi stood in hakama, bokken in hand. Across from him, Yamaguchi-sensei held a real katana, polished steel gleaming in the morning sun. The difference in weapons marked the test: wood versus steel, student versus master. One strike from the master could end Takeshi's life. Around the courtyard, students and visiting masters watched in silence. Every eye fixed on the moment. Every heartbeat echoed tension. Yamaguchi-sensei's voice carried across the open space. Takeshi has trained for 5 years. Today he faces the final examination. Not to defeat me, that is impossible, but to show his warrior spirit, to demonstrate presence under pressure, to prove he is a true samurai. The master assumed stance, katana poised. Takeshi felt his heart pulse, but his mind remained quiet. No plans, no fear, no calculation. Just here, just now. The first strike came, a controlled testing blow aimed at his shoulder. Instinctively, Takeshi sidestepped. The katana whispered past his ear. He countered with his bokken, not trying to attack, only responding. They circled. Another strike, faster this time. High, low, spinning combinations. Takeshi moved fluidly, body anticipating before thought could interfere. Block, dodge, counter. Every motion complete, precise and calm. Around the courtyard, murmurs rose. Observers had never seen a student respond with such balance, such fluidity. Most students flailed, desperate to defend. Takeshi adapted, flowed, was fully present. The master intensified the speed, the kind that would be deadly in real combat. And something remarkable happened. Takeshi stopped trying to win, stopped trying to impress, stopped trying at all. He existed in each moment, each movement, each breath. The fight became a dance of awareness. Zanshin, remaining alert, guided every action. After blocking, he remained ready. After countering, he stayed calm, poised for the next moment. Minutes passed like hours. Every attack, every parry, every step tested his presence. And then, the decisive moment arrived. The master opened an obvious gap. Most students would have struck immediately, driven by desperation. Takeshi saw it. He understood. And he waited. Awareness, not impulse, ruled. The silence hung heavy. The courtyard held its breath. Yamaguchi-sensei lowered his katana, stepped back, and bowed deeply. "Enough! You have passed." Applause erupted. Takeshi bowed, trembling, not from fear, but from the release of intensity. Presence had triumphed. Technique alone would have failed. The courtyard was quiet, tension hanging like a heavy cloud. The master had left an opening, clear, wide, almost an invitation. Every instinct in a student would scream, "Strike now. Gain the point. Show skill. Prove yourself." Takeshi paused. He recognized it for what it was, a trap. The gap wasn't a gift. It was a test of awareness, a lure for impulse, a challenge to ego. To strike would be to lose everything the past 5 years had taught him. He remained still, calm, present, not frozen, not afraid, simply aware. Yamaguchi-sensei watched closely. Then, slowly, he lowered his katana, stepped back, and bowed deeply. "Enough! You have passed." The courtyard exhaled. Silence gave way to murmurs, then applause. Takeshi bowed, trembling, not from fear or relief, but from the deep understanding that had just settled in his mind. The lesson was clear. The true warrior does not seek every victory. Some victories are hidden in restraint. Some triumphs appear as an action. The student who rushes, who reacts without awareness, will never grasp mastery. Takeshi understood that presence had become his weapon. Awareness, not strength. Observation, not aggression. In that single choice, he had proven himself beyond the measure of swords or skill. He looked at the master, bowing respectfully. Yamaguchi-sensei's eyes reflected both pride and wisdom. A new path was opening for Takeshi, one that went beyond combat, beyond dojo walls. This was the first transformation, from student to samurai. But the journey had only just begun. Presence was the true test, and Takeshi had passed. The master stepped aside. The next stage awaited. After the examination, Takeshi expected rest, praise, a sense of completion. Instead, Yamaguchi-sensei spoke with quiet authority. "Your training is not finished. You must leave this dojo." Takeshi blinked. Leave? He had spent 5 years mastering the sword, the discipline, the dojo itself. Where would he go? To Mount Koya, the master continued. There you will train with the monks for 1 year. Not in swordsmanship, not in combat, but in pure presence. Takeshi's hands unconsciously tightened around his bokken. Identity, rank, skill, all stripped away. Only him remained. Mount Koya rose ahead, sacred mountain, home to centuries of Zen practice. The monks waited, silent, their eyes steady with decades of meditation. At the gate, he set aside his swords. The tools of his mastery were now irrelevant. Here, the weapon was awareness itself. Hours of sitting meditation began. At first, it was agony. The body screamed. Legs cramped. Back ached. The mind roared, "This is pointless. You are a samurai. You should be training, not sitting like a statue." Yet each time he returned to his breath, the voice quieted, just slightly. Attention shifted from resistance to observation. Master Iku walked among the students, wooden stick in hand. A gentle tap if the mind wandered, subtle but firm. Takeshi received many. Not punishment, but guidance, reminders to return to presence. The days blurred. The routine was relentless. Yet slowly, he began noticing something. Thoughts arose as expected, plans, fears, memories, but they were no longer commands. They were passing clouds. Awareness remained steady beneath them. The mountain, the monks, the discipline. They forced him to face a truth he had only glimpsed in the dojo. The mind could wander endlessly, but mastery lay in noticing and returning, moment by moment. And in that space between thoughts, he began to sense presence not as an idea, but as reality. The journey beyond the sword had begun. Months passed on Mount Koya, each day structured around meditation, work, and stillness. One morning, during walking meditation, Takeshi experienced a subtle shift. Each step became deliberate. Heel to toe, breath aligned, movement fully observed. His thoughts arose, anxieties about progress, frustration over perceived wasted time, but he no longer chased them. They drifted by like clouds across a vast sky. He remained the sky itself, steady, open, aware. The daily routine, rising before dawn, silent meals, chopping wood, hauling water, tending gardens, long hours of zazen, became the container for his practice. Every action was an opportunity to return fully to the present. He was no longer defined by skill, title, or rank. Layers of awareness emerged. Surface presence allowed him to notice the task in front of him. Deeper presence revealed the space between thoughts. And beneath all, he touched the unchanging observer, the original mind, or Buddha nature, as the monks called it. This was awareness itself, beyond ambition, beyond fear, beyond identity. Takeshi realized mastery of the sword had been only a surface exercise. True presence transcended technique. The ego, the desire to impress, to succeed, to prove, had no power here. Awareness alone guided action. In this state, even chaos could be faced without being disturbed. The mind remained anchored, the body responsive, the heart calm. He understood the warrior's greatest challenge was not an external enemy, but the constant pull of thoughts and identity. Master Iku's final instruction came quietly. You have learned stillness. Now you must carry presence into chaos. Takeshi nodded. The time had come to face what lay beyond controlled meditation and ritual. Preparation was complete, but the test of application had just begun. 3 days of walking brought Takeshi to a small village, shadowed by fear. The headman met him at the edge of town. 5 bandits have been taking our food and money. We cannot fight them. Please help. Takeshi listened. He noted the names, the numbers, the threat, but he felt no rush to act. Presence, not strategy, guided him now. That evening, he meditated. Fear arose naturally. The mind wanted to plan, to prepare, to imagine outcomes. Takeshi acknowledged each thought and returned to the present. He would meet them as they were, not as he feared them to be. At dawn, the bandits arrived. 5 armed men, led by a tall, scarred warrior named Katsuru, a former samurai turned outlaw. Takeshi stepped forward, unarmed, calm, grounded, fully present. The bandits laughed. Boy, go home. You'll be hurt. Yet Katsuru stopped mid-laugh, noticing something unusual. Takeshi's stillness, his unwavering awareness, unsettled the men. I am not here to fight, Takeshi said. I am here to speak, as one samurai to another. The words confused them. No threat, no posturing, only presence. He addressed Katsuru directly. You were once honorable. Your path has changed. But beneath the loss and anger, your true nature remains. The leader paused, eyes narrowing, recognition flickering. Silence filled the morning air. The bandits' aggression faltered. Finally, Katsuru lowered his weapon, knelt, and bowed. Forgive me. I forgot what it means to be samurai. The other men looked at him in shock, then followed. They left the village, not by force, but because presence had revealed their own truth. Takeshi remained standing, calm, observant. The village was safe. Victory achieved, not through violence, but through awareness. Later, he returned to Mount Koya. Master Iku awaited him. What happened? The master asked. Takeshi recounted the encounter, understanding deepening with each word. He had learned that presence could transform conflict before it began. 10 years later, Takeshi returned to Yamamoto Sensei's dojo, not as a student, but as the master. The old sensei had retired to a quiet hermitage. The dojo was alive with new energy, students moving with skill and ambition. One young student stood out, technically gifted, eager, but tense, anxious. Takeshi saw himself reflected in the boy. "Master Takeshi," the student said, bowing deeply, "I want to become the greatest swordsman in Japan." Takeshi smiled softly. He had heard this before long ago. He gestured for the boy to sit in front of the shrine, the same shrine where he had learned the first lessons of Shoshin. "Do you see this scroll?" Takeshi asked, pointing. "Shoshin." "Yes, master," the boy replied. "And what does it mean to you?" The student paused, thinking. Takeshi guided gently. "Beginner's mind. Presence in this moment. Not when you are the greatest, but right now, here, fully aware." The boy frowned. "I don't understand, master." "You will," Takeshi said. "The sword is a tool. Presence is the weapon. Presence doesn't make you the greatest warrior. It makes you free." Then Takeshi handed him a broom. "Sweep. Just sweep. Be fully present with the broom, the floor, your movement. Nothing else exists." The student hesitated, disappointed. But he nodded, beginning slowly. Takeshi observed him, noticing the wandering thoughts, the impatience, the desire to be doing something important. He saw himself 10 years ago and smiled quietly. The cycle continued. Teaching passed not through lectures, but through example, through presence, through the countless small moments of complete awareness. This is the way of the samurai, not through violence, but presence. Not through domination, but awareness. Not through achieving, but being. Every conversation, every meal, every breath becomes a moment of training. The sword is secondary. Awareness is primary. The dojo, the students, the quiet discipline, all were reminders that mastery begins and ends in presence. If you are ready to begin your own journey, to train in the ancient practices that create modern warriors, the path starts now. Step fully into this moment. Be here, be present, and carry the lessons of the samurai into every choice you make. The cycle continues, and the question returns. Are you ready to face your 10 enemies with presence, not fear?